Alright, hello there. It's Eric, Igor, whatever you want to call me. And I'm making this video today to show you how to how to make your own N64 textures in the style of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. So without further ado, I'm just going to start with just generally how I do it. You could paint it yourself, hand paint it, or you could take a picture, crop it, part of it, scale it down. I generally like to do that. Like I'll end up just taking pictures on my phone and then just upload them to my computer and then just crop them and work with them. I think it kind of saves a lot of time painting, I guess. I don't know, painting could be quicker, but I just like to take pictures myself. So I took all these myself. I'm just going to show them what they are before we use them. So we got some pavers here. So that's a rock. It's a really interesting looking rock. I thought it was really cool. More stone walkway. I think that's stone two, and then that was a log I was walking across. So yeah, I'm just gonna use these, and we're gonna make some textures out of them. So I use Krita because Krita lets you see tiling, and I think it helps so much. Like the the big key with making a texture is not necessarily like the making sure it's seamless, but really is how it tiles. Like it's easy to make it seamless, but it could tile poorly and it would just look really bad to use. If the texture tiles it tiles good, then I mean it'll be seamless if it tiles good. That's essentially what you want to go for. So I'm gonna use this rock here, this green rock. I'm gonna make it quick, small. I like to make small textures first before I do any. Let's see. What if I just squish this whole thing down? I just want to see how it looks if I do 64 by 32. How does that look? It might look blurry as hell. Oh, it actually looks alright, I think. I'm going to go to filter. This is a color adjustment curves is a really nice tool to learn. You boost some of the contrast up with it. You could manually do it yourself. Really nice to learn this thing. Kind of cleans the washout look of a lot of pictures you take when you scale them down. Alright, so I'm gonna take this clone tool here. Clone tool, this is the best tool. This is what you really need when you make your own textures because that's how you get rid of a lot of the seams in a texture. Actually looks pretty good already. Sometimes you don't gotta do too much to a texture to make it look halfway decent. And you can zoom in and out to see how well it tiles, and I think that tiles okay. I kind of want to get rid of this like glare lens up here, so I'm gonna take pixels from different parts of the texture to kind of clean it out so that way it doesn't all look like it's from the same part. And I might sharpen it. No, I think that's okay. Yeah, because it's going to blend with those rocks. So we're going to export. We're going to export this one. Let's see. TN rock. TN rock. Small. Just to be silly. Small res. PNG. I usually work with PNGs. I like PNGs. Most programs like PNGs more than JPEGs. So now I'm gonna mix it with these pavers here. We'll get some interesting looking stones. So I'm gonna open it as a new document because I'm gonna work on this texture. Shrink this one. Now essentially you could use this as a standalone texture. It'd totally work, and that's fine. You don't need to do anything else to it. But I like to kind of I like to add style to my textures. So oh, excuse me. I like to kind of form a few together. It kind of gives them a more distinct look than just using one. So we're gonna get the best we can with that. You know, we're gonna have some of this, but that's okay. We can clean that up when we trim it down, when we tile it. That's decent, I'd say. Tiles decently. Well, for what it is. back to 64 by 32. We're gonna make it the same resolution because we gotta glue on top of them. It actually cleaned up pretty well itself without me having to do too much. But I do want to clean these edges up, so take our clone tool again, decrease that size to about 3 so we can capture this seam here pretty well, and just paint right over where we want to paint. We actually want to match the bottom part too, so actually what I could do is just paint over that side too, and boom, that looks halfway decent, I think. You don't have to get too technical with it, you know, it's just the texture. You're going to plaster them all over the place. So we're just going to clean up this line a little bit just so it doesn't look exactly like what we're seeing in the middle part. So you could have textures repeat pixels too much and then the image looks kind of weird. I've had that happen. So I like to grab different parts of an image to do that. When I do that, just so it looks like it keeps the palette without having the same patterns. That's what texturing is all about, is, you know, your patterns. Okay, this looks decent, kind of washed out. So I might have a version of this. Let's see, we're gonna do Pavers washed. Just gonna name it washed out real quick. And then just so we can have a base to work off of. Some people might be fine with how that looks. I want to change it a little bit. Increase the contrast a little bit. Yeah, I like that a lot more. Yeah, it sticks out a little bit more. We're gonna call it the same name, and then we're gonna put that. You don't need to name it like how I'm doing it. I just like to name it like that, kind of what it is. You know, it's Pavers, contrasted. It's a little contrasted. Okay, now that these two are done, what we can do, I'm actually just gonna close. That's kind of good to work in layers, but I'm just gonna close both of them because they're both to satisfactory. And I'm gonna take those two textures I just made, put them in the same file, but they're gonna be layers. Now, Krita has this nice, it does filters differently than like GIMP. GIMP will have its filters under like a tab up top. Krita has it just here in the layers. So you could scroll through these with the mouse button. You could also just, you know, click something. And these will kind of combine the, what these do is combine the two textures together, because they're both, the filters applying to both of them, and the pixels that the filter wants will stick out at top. Now if you look at it, now you got some of that, you know, mossy green, whatever you want to call it, on those pavers. Now it looks like it's kind of grown over a little bit. That looks okay. It looks kind of weird. Like, if, let's see, I would have, like, you could export a few different ones too. Like, if I hit export right now, export, we'll do Pavers, TN, tutorial. It'll export it as how it is as I'm looking at it. So now you can look at it, your picture, and you could use that. That's actually a pretty decent tech. I'm pretty happy with that. But then also you could change the filter. Say you want those, like you want that, this part, this rock to stick out a bit more, but you really want the pavers with it. What we can do, I think I have easy burn. I think easy burn works good. We'll do easy burn. I like the other one more. What was it? Oh no, I gotta have it on this one. Easy burn. Probably do easy burn. You kind of gotta look through the filters to see what you want. I find that easy burn, I favorited them. You can find them, you know, throughout here. I find easy burn, multiply generally works a lot, and easy burn too. Fog darken as well. We're gonna go with easy burn. Now what I'm gonna do is flatten the image. I don't think you have to do this, but in order to work with both pixels, I like to do flatten the image and layer up here at top. Flatten image. Cool. Now I got my pavers, but you know those lines are still kind of dark, I guess. So what we're gonna do is there's this there's this brush called Filter Sharpen. It's in FX under here. So I just have it in my favorites because I use it a lot. Increase the size to like 3 pixels just so we could, you know, highlight these edges, and we're just gonna take our little cursor. You can see it. I'm gonna have it right here in the yellow, and you just kind of paint over them. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay if it's, you know, your hand moves a little bit. You know, you can always undo it if you don't like how it looks. I might need to add another crevice up there, yeah, because it's kind of. No, I think I could just sharpen it. Yeah, it looks okay. I think those greens are kind of strong though. So you know what, we're gonna go back real quick. Let's see. Yeah, I like that a lot more. Yeah, just decrease the opacity so it's not so strong. That gives these, yeah, I kind of like that a bit more actually. Makes it a little less, I'll keep that a normal. A little less invasive, I'll say. Sometimes you have too much texture there. We'll continue with easy burn. Check out the opacity a little bit. Flatten the image again. Yeah, I control Z to undo a lot of that stuff. I can do this stuff real quick, so I don't really mind like repainting, especially because it's such a small texture resolution. There's not too much to work with. Like it is like you are kind of doing pixel art in a way, so just because it's such small resolutions. Every pixel counts on these small resolutions. Well, for the most part. Those cracks look a little too sharp. I'll blur them up in a second here. Just gonna sharpen them right quick. Yeah, I think they're a little too sharp. That's okay. Rather the crevices stick out a bit more. Okay, that looks fine. It actually looks pretty alright. Shift W is how you make a tile like this, by the way. I like the Shift W. That's why I like Krita so much. It just works so freaking well. Let's see. We'll call this same name, and I'll just put 2. I'll just put 1. Okay. I like to just save multiple copies of my work. Then we're going to take that blur tool. So there's a blur filter brush and a filter sharpen. Go over it. Just do one pass. It works stronger the more you passes you do on it, so I think it's better to sometimes just do a pass or 2. Yeah, it looks okay. I actually really like how this texture looks. I actually will probably use it. That's the point of me doing this, though. Yeah, it looks pretty good, I think. Kind of like it more than the sharp one. I pretty much do this a lot. I think it's fun making textures, and also just really makes your game feel like its own when you have your own textures, its own unique look to it. Looks stretched as heck. I don't like that. Alright, but I could probably shrink it down. I wonder how it would look 32 by 32. Oh, it looks like square tiles. I actually kind of like that too. It's funny. Alright, cool. I'm actually pretty proud of this. This looks like a rock cut, like overgrown rock, or like old ancient tile, I guess, ancient stones. Yeah, I like that. Alright, I'm gonna keep it open. I'm just gonna minimize. I'm gonna open up SketchUp. I like to use SketchUp just to apply textures real quick to things. Testing textures is just kind of nice. Do it real quick. Alright, we got a link right here. He's always right there. Let's see, we'll just make a quick hexagon. Doesn't really matter what shape you use. And boom. Let's see. You could do this in SketchUp, just drag and drop textures. You know, we'll do that one too, just to see how these all look. So you can kind of use, you know, you can kind of pick which one you like, what style you want to do, or you know, what purpose you want the texture to fulfill. Like you could probably argue that one's not better than the other ones, or you could. Generally, people like one more than another, so I think that's just an important thing to consider. Alright, we're gonna see how that one looks. That one actually looks pretty good. I actually really like that. Probably not this dark stone so much, but that's okay. I'll live with it. It's not terrible. You can mess with the color if you want. Kind of like that blue. Kind of like what I was going for. Like brighten it up a little bit just to make the colors pop a little more. Yeah, I like that. That looks good in my opinion. I like using SketchUps. I know it's not, you're not really supposed to or should. SketchUp has some weird things with its texture, how it edits textures, but I like using them. I like using it. It's never failed me, or if it has, I just don't use how it looks, and I just edit it in like in Creda or GIMP. I think that worked out pretty well. I like these tiles. I'll darken them just a little bit, a little contrast. No, it's a little too dark. Okay, we'll reset the color. I like how that looks. Actually, a little turd here. You know, let's use it. Let's do like a more traditional. Let's see how it looks. It's like a building. I'm not making sure these tile perfectly. I just want to see, like, at a quick glance, how does it look? Is it satisfactory? And I think this is pretty satisfactory right here. I like these tiles. They work. You know, they don't repeat too much. You know, if it repeats, it's like kind of like I guess this little spot, and I guess the dark spot. But I think that's okay. If I wanted to, I could flatten them out or yeah. Let's try flatten them out. Use the clone tool. Just gonna take parts of the same image. Let's see. Paint over here. Paint over there. And just paint it little by little, chipping away. Let green moss that sticks out, that's going to stick out. It's fine to leave some, you know, you're going to see a repetition no matter what you do with textures. They just repeat. It's just you don't want like ugly details to stick out. Some glaring ones. All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And it's like, oh, you just wasted your time, I guess. Let's see. We're gonna just copy this whole thing. I think that does look a little bit better. Looks more neutral. I think you could probably, let's see it. You know what, this one is just tiling a lot. Maybe that's just the issue. Just gotta make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, they both look good. I think they look fine. You could probably use either. No one really give a shit. This looks fine. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with those. So we're gonna leave this here. We're gonna go back in. We're gonna make another texture. Just because I think, what's going on? Because I don't want to do just one. Let's see, we got this wavy rock here. We're gonna use that. I think I made this one. I don't know if this is a picture or if part of a picture I took. I don't remember. But I think we could probably use this one right off the bat. 64 by 32. I try to work with how the image already looks. This makes you look. You can even use this as street bark or sand. This actually looks pretty cool. So we're gonna do some copying now. I'm probably gonna increase the contrast on this. So something I like to do with when you what do you clone when you're doing these textures to make them seamless is like you kind of want to follow the pattern of what's already there. Like see these, you got these lines here. Here I'm just gonna increase the contrast for a second here. You got these white lines and you got the darker lines. You kind of just copy the flow of that as it bleeds into the other part of the texture, just so it's pretty consistent. Or you could probably just do bends. Yeah, I want to do it this way. Probably just copy a little bend right there. Add some up here too. You know, it's your choice as the texture maker what details you want to keep or highlight and which ones you want to get rid of. Okay, I think this is looking a bit better. I just kind of want to get rid of those like weird dark. I think I probably made them on accident, or just want to get rid of those dark spaces and just make them into lines, not little dots like that. There we go. Just kind of follow the patterns already there. That's what I generally do, and it works out pretty well in my opinion. Alright. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. You don't want perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good. Okay, that looks good in my opinion. Alright, cool. That's, yeah, it's the same thing. That actually could work as sand, like right off the bat. That could work as sand, so we're going to do maybe rock, sand, small. Okay, I'm going to take another texture. You know, I'm going to do that same paper texture, actually. We're going to do the one with the, yeah, I want to take that one I was working with earlier. You know, I'll do the one I did as the base, just to kind of show you, like, what you could do with these layers and combining them. That's them combined, that's multiplied. Kind of hard to see. Some filters work better with other textures, so you just kind of got to play with them, see which one looks good. And what I'm seeing, I don't think this this combo doesn't really work too well. That actually makes I actually kind of like that. Takes the colors. Yeah, because if I contrast that from there, oh, it's not showing it. Here, that. Gotta flatten the image. That looks nasty. Alright. Luminosity. Okay, from what I'm seeing, those textures just aren't going to work well. and that's okay. It's not always gonna work well. So we're gonna try to do the Tennessee rock. See how these two look good together. Does kind of hurt your eyes flipping through them, I will admit. These two might not work good together either. That's okay, sometimes you get that. Here, let's do a new texture. How about that? We'll do this log path. I'm gonna open up in a new document. So I think this one already tiles, if I'm not wrong. No, it doesn't. I gotta have to tile it. That's okay. Yeah, I took these forever ago in Tennessee. I'll flip this texture so I can match them. It's actually tiles pretty good. Usually you don't have to work to, like, when small resolution, you don't have to do too much work to make it tile. It's pretty nice. Like, it's because it's small resolutions. You don't got you don't have to work with so damn much. And honestly, I think that tile's pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with that already. Yeah, it's pretty good. Path 1. We're going to rotate it so it matches the other texture. Alright, cool. And not export it the other way. There. Just make another copy. Doesn't matter to me. I'm sure you could just copy and paste this, but I'm just lazy, so. Alright, we're gonna keep that there. Got the wavy sandrock. Combine, insert this new layer. Layers. Oh, yeah, it gives it a little different texture. That actually looks pretty good right there. I actually kind of like that. Reminds me of like Daegu tree wood or something. I find with wood, generally burn works really good with wood. The burn filter. Linear burn. Yeah, it works pretty good. Still looks like dirt. That's kind of what I was going for. I think, okay, so we're gonna flatten the image here because I think this is a good point for it. Just gonna do some quick copying so those lines aren't so visible. No, I made it more visible. Trying to make it not visible. Sometimes you do that. Trying to do a wavy pattern. Yeah, see, it's copying that, like there's like a shade. Yeah, you can see it from a distance. It's like a shade of red up there. Oh, it's over here. You can work out a texture. Okay, I think that's actually probably the best it'll be. Oh, cancel. Yeah, it looks pretty good in my opinion. All right, export that with log path. We'll say 2, or we'll say 3. All right, go up to SketchUp, plop it on in there. Boom. And I want to see how this looks like. Sand. You could use any 3D modeling program, but I just like to use SketchUp for testing textures. So you can just paint them on the surface real quick. Yeah, it looks pretty good. A little too clean. Here, you know what? I got a better idea. It's a better way to maybe see this texture. It's probably in a tunnel. Yeah, I like that. Split curve. This ain't really a SketchUp tutorial, more of a still a texture tutorial. I just want to see how it maps, how a texture map is part of how it works as a texture. SketchUp and its notorious UV messing. I think this actually looks, for an interior, yeah, it looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, it works pretty good in my opinion. It's a wood log path, so that's what it works best as. Yep. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna use two of these textures I made together. Let's do a quick hexagon real quick. We're gonna use that. Use this. 'Cause honestly, you could probably use this like a log. Looks like, or bark, I should say. It does, sometimes you could use rock as bark. It kind of works sometimes. That actually looks pretty decent. Wow, look at that. Maybe a little too much going on, but just scale it down a little bit. Yeah, I actually really like that. Holy. See having trees like that. Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Yeah, your little wooden path. Alright, is there any other textures? Actually, one more. I'll do one more. Alright, I'm gonna close that. Close this one. Oh yeah, I want to see how that tiled actually. Sand. So I'm just gonna make a rectangle. Boom. Sand. Yeah, it looks just like freaking sand, bro. I always like the color of my sand, so it actually works pretty well. Looks like Mario 64 sand, but that's okay. Sure, a little contrast that would now it's dark. I'm gonna change the contrast a little bit on this. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, someone might like it not so contrasted. Someone might want it contrasted. Don't want that dark part contrasted. I think the lighter parts contrasted would look better. Yeah, what I like about these tools, is you could pick and choose what you want to be contrasted in the image, not the whole thing. Like when you apply a filter over the whole thing, sometimes you just want some details to stick out and not so many others. Yeah, I'm liking this already. Yeah, I like that way more. It's a little more coarse, a little more detail. From a distance, you'd be like, yeah, that's sand right off the bat. You know when to tell you that is sand. You know, you could probably actually change the let's do 200 by 200. Probably change the texture resolution. Let's see. I'm gonna try shrinking it down. Yeah, that looks good too. I would say the sand is pretty coarse, but it is kind of wavy. I do like it how it looks. It could be coarse. It could be yeah, it looks exactly the freaking same. That's funny. Yeah, I like how that looks. Tile's pretty good too. Yeah, I like that. It turned out really well for this tutorial. I'm pretty happy with that. I think you can see some lines here and there, but that's okay. You always clean them out later if you want to. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that sand. Actually pretty happy with all these textures. They all turned out pretty good, especially this rock. Looks nice, unique. Yeah, so there is my. Let me do one more before I wrap this up because I don't want to. Cause I think I had another texture. Yeah, I had the stone texture I want to use. No, I thought that was my foot. This was in some freaking This was in some freaking what do you call it? What are those things called? Aquarium. It was in some aquarium, I remember. All right, you can hold Shift and Krita to create a perfect square. Does help with like the texture, kind of keeping the shapes when you if you cut out a square, it keeps it a square better. Oh yeah, so what I did here, I trimmed a selection of an image. Cool, looks pretty good. We're gonna scale it down to the N64 resolutions. I always like to tile it well, I like to tile it while it's small, not when it's big. In my opinion, I think it's kind of just easier to work with the pixels. So we're gonna do. Sometimes rocks can be kind of tough to make tile to make them look nice. So we're gonna do our best here with our little clone tool, and we're just gonna cut out some shapes. Actually, probably do it in stone. We're gonna use different parts of the image again, just like how we did before. We'll clean off the edges too. Don't you all worry. Use this too. Take that, move that up there. Take this stone. Kind of keep the same look. You actually take a paintbrush too, just a basic brush. Just copy, the color. Just do some quick painting. Doesn't need to be perfect, nothing's perfect. There's always a better brush, I'm sure. Usually you do two different colors, just go over it twice. Usually the pixels from what you took will just kind of stay there already, or at least bleed over it. Alright, but mostly you can get away with just the cloning tool. Actually, what we're going to end up doing here, I think, because I got to have this rock tile. It's going to erase some of the other rock, but that's alright. We can actually just combine it, yeah. We're going to take this. Not perfect. Probably not my best work here, but that's okay. We're not shooting for perfect. We're shooting for good. Don't be afraid to undo anything you don't like. Yeah, it looks ugly. This texture kind of sucks to work with. Sometimes it is worth abandoning a texture. Sometimes it's not working. You can't. A little too hard to cut out. Well, I'm not going to go up here just yet. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of do some big changes and not worry about it too much. Okay, we need some of the darker rock. Put that right there. There we go. We'll cut out the edges later. But I think that's looking a lot better. Let's see. Rocks are probably some of the harder, like, stone cutways, pathways. They're definitely some of the harder textures to make. Cause stone, hold on, let me flatten the image. Should let me paint through it. Stones definitely take more time to make than other textures. So I kind of like, oh, no, I still like them. I think they are rewarding to pull off when you pull them off. A little bit of grout there. But yeah, by and large, I'm just kind of copying what's the patterns already there. It just kind of makes your texture just come together a little bit easier that way. You just follow the patterns of the rocks. I am liking this. This is looking good. Just need to clean up a few more areas. Like this. Yeah, where is that? Okay, that's this corner essentially right here. Let's see, is it a white rock? It's kind of like both. Let's get rid of those big nasty lines going through everything. I think that's actually tiling pretty decent. Hold on. Sometimes it's easier if you auto contrast. I'll show you, like, you can even use this right how it is, just as like a simple pattern. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna clean up a little bit of these rocks, and then I'm gonna show y'all what I mean by that. There's a nasty line somewhere. I kind of saw it. Oh, I'm actually kind of liking these how they are. I kind of like this mess right here. No, it's up here. Okay, I could totally. Yeah, that's glaring at me right now. Here, I'm actually gonna do that. Turn that into grout. Yeah, rocks are probably the toughest texture to do, in my honest to God opinion. Because I just probably, maybe it's just me, probably have the most trouble with natural formations. Because they don't really follow particular shapes. Like, it's not really geometry. It's geography is what it is. Big difference. Yeah, it could be some weird rock, I guess. It's alright. Let's change that back to 1 pixel. No, you know, I'm going to divide that. Yeah. Make a little more sense to use a small rock there. Go back to the clone tool. Do some cloning. Clean that up a bit. see, I want to get rid of that one little dark pixel right there. Alright, I think this is looking the way I want it to. I think this rock right here needs a little bit of a division. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it just needs some patience, you know. That's the big one, I guess. Just believe, if you believe your work will come out right, it will eventually. All right, that actually looks pretty good in my opinion. All right, cool. Rock pathway. Let's see. Oh yeah, auto contrast. Yeah, it actually looks really good. I'm gonna export this as like a good base. Or what was it? Pattern rock path. I'm gonna call it pattern. I'm gonna take one of my other textures. Let's see. I kind of want to take the pavers. Here, I'm gonna scale this down to 32 by 32. I could scale the other one up, but it won't look as great. So I'm just gonna scale that down. Or just export it. Same name. Small. 32 by 32 times looks more authentic than 64 by 64. Insert new layer. We're gonna watch some magic here. The layers here. Now you can really see that pay off. Now it looks like this tile is just ruined. It's cracked. You can see where the grout lines once were. Yeah, I do like that. Well, actually not really. Huh. Yeah, it doesn't work too well. Let's try a different texture. How about, you know what? I want to scale up. I'm going to open up this one, scale it up. Document. Okay, it's 64 by 64. Just going to scale this one up. Generally, I would say not scale up a texture. It just sometimes looks worse, but sometimes it looks fine. 2. Alright, we're going to take that one we had, plaster it in there. Oh, yeah, that's actually looking. Yeah, look at that. Now you mix both patterns together. Now you have some really interesting looking rocks. Even that works halfway decent. You want to keep your grass light. Yeah, like easy burn the most. I think it was that multiply. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I know that name makes no sense for that texture, but it's not really. It doesn't really matter too much. Let's see what organize it. I'm pretty unorganized. I'm unorganized chaos. That's how I do things. It's an organized chaos, is what it is. All right, let's see how this works on a. It's like a rock. It's like a pile of stones. Now they got all that texture and color to them. I think that is projected when you import it. Yeah, it is. That looks pretty good. I actually really like that. Holy, that's a cool looking rock. Look at that. Boom. Let's see, we'll make it bigger. Yeah, I like that a lot. That actually looks pretty good in my opinion. It looks pretty crazy. Probably wouldn't have it so, let's see, so stretched like that, in a game, but that looks decent right there. Yeah, I like that. That looks pretty good in my opinion. Let's see how it just tiles like as a floor. Scale it down a little bit. It's kind of big. Yeah, it looks decent. This one would be worth just stretching more, but yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of that. So yeah, that is my little tutorial on doing N64 style textures. I hope y'all like it, and I'd love to see what y'all make if anyone does anything, or at least we can appreciate the process to it. So go out, take some pictures, make some textures. So y'all have a good one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.